At dinner, she slid me a list titled, "Fix these before marriage." I added one item to my own, "Find someone else." I left the note beside her wine glass and walked out. Lauren had been acting strange for weeks, texting me about important conversations we need to have and planning our future together properly. I should have seen this coming, but honestly, I thought she was going to talk about wedding venues or maybe moving in together. I pulled up to Chez Michel, this upscale French bistro in Portland's Pearl District that I'd never been to because teachers don't exactly have French restaurant money. Lauren was already inside, had reserved this private corner booth that probably cost extra, and she was wearing what I called her power suit, the navy blue one she wore to job interviews and family court when her lawyer mother needed moral support. "Kevin, you're here, perfect timing," she said, barely looking up from her phone as I slid into the booth across from her. The waiter appeared immediately, like he'd been trained to respond to her finger snap, and she ordered for both of us without asking what I wanted. Salmon for her, steak for me, medium rare, and a bottle of wine I couldn't pronounce. "Lauren, what's this about?" I asked, watching her pull out a leather portfolio from her designer bag. "I've been doing a lot of thinking about us, about our trajectory, and I've created something that I think will really help align our goals." She slid the portfolio across the table like she was presenting a business proposal. I opened it and found myself staring at a professionally bound document, printed on heavy cream paper with actual page tabs. The title page read, "Our Path to Forever, Kevin's Enhancement Protocol," in elegant script. I flipped through it, my stomach dropping with each page. 12 requirements, each with detailed subsections and implementation timelines. Number 1. Career transition, exit education sector within 6 months, pursue finance or consulting role to match earning potential goals, target, $150,000 minimum. I looked up at her. "You want me to quit teaching?" "It's not about quitting, it's about growth," she said, sipping water like we were discussing the weather. "You have a master's degree, Kevin. You're wasting it on a $52,000 salary when you could be making triple that in the private sector." Number 2 hit harder. Pet situation resolution. Rehome rescue dog Bailey due to newly developed allergic sensitivities and lifestyle incompatibility. "You want me to get rid of my dog?" My voice came out flat, controlled, but inside I was starting to realize this woman sitting across from me was a stranger. "I've developed allergies," she said matter-of-factly. "Plus, Bailey sheds everywhere and honestly, dogs don't fit the aesthetic I'm building for us." Bailey was a 3-year-old golden retriever I'd rescued from a kill shelter 2 years ago. She slept at the foot of my bed, came to school with me on weekends when I did lesson planning, and had never once triggered allergies in Lauren during all the time she'd spent at my place. Number 3 made my blood run cold. Family dynamic restructuring, reduce contact with father to monthly phone calls maximum, supervised interactions only. His traditional masculine influence and blue-collar mentality creates toxic behavioral modeling. My dad was a widower, a retired mechanic who'd raised me alone after my mom died when I was 8. He lived 20 minutes away, we had dinner every Tuesday, watched football on Sundays, and he was the kindest, most supportive man I'd ever known. "You want me to cut off my father?" I asked, my voice deadly calm now. "Not cut off, just create healthy boundaries. Kevin, he still thinks you should be working with your hands instead of your mind. That's not the influence we need when we're building something sophisticated." I kept reading. Number 4. Wardrobe upgrade, designer labels only. Number 5. Sell my Subaru, lease a BMW. Number 6. Stop coaching the after-school robotics club because it doesn't advance career prospects. Number 7. Convert to her religion. Number 8. Pre-marriage couples therapy with her selected therapist. Number 9. Prenuptial agreement with infidelity clause that only applied to me. I closed the binder and looked at her. Really looked at her. The woman I'd been dating for 18 months, who I'd thought was driven and ambitious in a good way, who I'd imagined building a life with. She was staring at me expectantly, like she just presented a reasonable to-do list instead of a complete personality reconstruction plan. "Well," she asked, "what do you think?" "I've organized it by priority, and I've created a timeline that gets most of these accomplished before we get engaged in 6 months." 6 months. I laughed, and it wasn't a nice sound. You've got our engagement scheduled? Of course. I've done the research, Kevin. Proposals at scenic overlooks have a 78% social media engagement rate. I'm thinking Multnomah Falls, you in a suit, maybe hire a photographer to capture it organically. She actually had spreadsheets in there. Budget projections for our wedding. Timelines for when I'd make partner at whatever finance firm I was supposed to magically join. Expected ROI on my career change. Our theoretical children's names were already selected with backup options. So, she leaned forward. I know it's a lot to take in, but I really think this roadmap will help us become the power couple we're meant to be. My mother agrees, by the way. She reviewed this with her book club, and they all think it's incredibly mature and forward-thinking. Your mother's book club reviewed your boyfriend modification manual? I asked slowly. Enhancement protocol, she corrected. And yes, they thought it was refreshing to see a woman who knows what she wants and isn't afraid to advocate for it. Stephanie's daughter is dating a plumber. Can you imagine? At least you have potential. The waiter appeared with our food, Lauren thanking him with that fake smile she used on service workers. I stared at the steak I hadn't ordered, cooked the way she preferred it, on a plate in a restaurant she'd chosen, at a table she'd reserved for a conversation she'd orchestrated without my input. Can I borrow your pen? I asked. She looked confused but handed me her expensive Montblanc, the one her father gave her when she passed the bar exam she never actually used because she decided corporate law was beneath her. I pulled a napkin from the holder and wrote clearly, Step 1, find someone who doesn't need a manual to love me. I placed it carefully beside her wine glass, put her pen on top of the enhancement protocol, and pulled out my wallet. I counted out enough cash to cover both meals and a generous tip, laid it on the table, and stood up. Kevin, what are you doing? She looked genuinely confused. What does it look like? I'm declining your enhancement protocol. You can't just leave. We haven't discussed implementation strategies, timelines, success metrics. Lauren, I interrupted, my voice calm but final. I'm a high school teacher. I coach robotics after school because I love watching kids learn to problem solve. I drive a Subaru because it's reliable and paid off. My dog is my family. My father is my hero. And if that's not good enough for you, then we want completely different lives. You're being ridiculous. This is just pre-wedding jitters. Sit down and let's discuss this rationally. I am being rational. I'm rationally recognizing that you don't want a partner, you want a project. Find someone else to fix. I started walking toward the exit, and I heard her chair scrape back. Kevin, you're making a scene. Do you know how expensive this restaurant is? How hard it was to get this reservation? I turned back one last time. Enjoy your salmon. And just so you know, I'm calling my landlord right now to change the locks. Whatever's left of your stuff will be on the curb by tomorrow morning. Her face went from confusion to rage to panic in rapid succession. You can't do that. My furniture, my clothes, should have thought about that before you decided I needed a complete personality transplant. I was already dialing as I walked out. My landlord, Tom, picked up on the second ring. Tom, it's Kevin. I need to change my locks tonight. Like, right now tonight. Everything okay, kid? Yeah, everything's about to be perfect. Can you meet me there in 30? Sure thing. You need help moving anything? Actually, know anyone with a truck? My nephew's got one. What are we moving? Everything that belongs to someone who just handed me a 12-step program to become a different person. Tom chuckled. I'll call him. See you in 30. I hung up and kept walking, feeling lighter with every step. My phone started buzzing immediately. Lauren calling. I declined it. Text messages started flooding in. You're overreacting. Come back, we can compromise. This is emotional immaturity. My mother wants to speak with you. I blocked her number, got in my Subaru, and drove home. Bailey greeted me at the door like she always did, tail wagging so hard her whole body moved. I knelt down and hugged her. Good news, girl. We don't have to change a thing. By 6 a.m. the next morning, I was standing in the school parking lot staring at the side of the building where Lauren had somehow projected a 47-slide PowerPoint presentation titled, The Kevin Mitchell Truth, a case study in male emotional unavailability. I watched students and parents arriving, pointing at the building, taking photos with their phones as my face, name, and apparently my entire psychological profile were displayed 3 stories high for everyone to see. "Mr. Mitchell, is that you up there?" asked one of my juniors, pointing at slide 23, which detailed my refusal to embrace growth opportunities. I pulled out my phone and called the principal. "Margaret, we have a situation." By the time campus security got the projector shut down, Lauren had somehow mounted it on the roof of the building across the street. Half the school had seen slides analyzing everything from my limited earning potential to my codependent relationship with a Canaan. The presentation concluded with her contact information and an offer to discuss intervention strategies for loved ones concerned about men afraid of success. I was in Margaret's office explaining the situation when my phone rang. My dad. "Kevin, you need to come to Sal's right now." Sal's was the Italian restaurant where my father had his weekly Thursday poker game with the same 5 guys he'd been playing with for 30 years. "Dad, I'm at work." "What's wrong?" "Your girlfriend is here with some doctor lady and they're saying you have commitment disorder and need immediate intervention. They've got papers, son. Official-looking papers." I closed my eyes. "I'll be right there." I found my dad in the back room with his poker buddies, all retired mechanics, plumbers, and electricians in their 60s, sitting around the table while Lauren and a woman in an expensive suit addressed them like they were a jury. "Gentlemen, I'm Dr. Cassandra Meadows, relationship architect," the woman was saying. "I specialize in commitment-phobic males, and Lauren has retained my services to facilitate Kevin's journey toward emotional availability." "Journey toward what now?" asked Sal, who'd known me since I was in diapers. Lauren saw me and her face lit up. "Kevin, perfect timing. Dr. Meadows has agreed to mediate a family session. Your father and his friends can help us understand the root causes of your intimacy issues." "My intimacy issues?" I looked at my dad, who shrugged helplessly. "She showed up an hour ago with binders," he said. "Wouldn't leave until you got here." Dr. Meadows stepped forward, extending her hand. "Kevin, I've reviewed Lauren's comprehensive documentation of your relationship patterns. The good news is that with intensive therapy, twice weekly sessions at $400 per hour, we can address your fear of merger and help you understand why you're sabotaging a relationship with such a high-quality partner." "High-quality partner who ambushed my dad's poker game?" I asked. "This is exactly the kind of deflection we'll work on," Dr. Meadows said, making notes. "Using humor to avoid emotional intimacy." "How much is she paying you?" I asked. "That's confidential, but I will say that Lauren is deeply invested in your healing process. Literally invested." She smiled at her own joke. Lauren pulled out another binder. "I've also prepared a presentation for your father outlining how his toxic masculine influence has shaped your resistance to emotional evolution. If we could just..." "No," my dad said, standing up. At 6 feet 2 inches and still built like the Marine he'd been 40 years ago, he was an imposing figure. "I don't know what kind of nonsense this is, but you need to leave. Now." "Mr. Mitchell, I understand this is difficult to hear, but your parenting style..." "My parenting style raised a good man," my dad interrupted. "A man who works with kids, who rescued a dog, who shows up when he says he will. If that's not good enough for you, that's your problem, not his." Lauren's face went red. "This is exactly what I'm talking about. Blue-collar mentality, rejection of growth, celebration of mediocrity. Get out," Sal said, moving toward the door. "Before I call my nephew who's a cop." They left, but not before Lauren pressed business cards for Dr. Meadows into everyone's hands and promised to continue the intervention through appropriate channels. I stayed for poker, and my dad's friends spent the whole night making jokes about relationship architects and emotional availability. It would have been funny if I wasn't terrified about what Lauren would do next. I found out Monday morning when a certified letter arrived from Patricia Caldwell, ESQ, Lauren's mother, the retired family court judge. The letter demanded I return the investment Lauren had made in our relationship, itemized down to the penny. $347 for organizational services rendered to enhance classroom environment, because she'd once spent an afternoon color-coding my supply closet while I graded papers. $892 for nutritional consulting, apparently her contribution of bringing over takeout 12 times constituted professional meal planning services. $1,240 for relationship development workshops, which translated to the couple's cooking class she dragged me to where we made pasta from scratch and she'd spent the whole time on her phone. The letter concluded with a demand for $15,750 total, payable within 30 days, or they'd pursue appropriate legal remedies for unjust enrichment. I showed the letter to the school's union rep, who laughed so hard she had to sit down. "Kevin, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. File it under delusional and ignore it." But Lauren wasn't done. During Tuesday's parent-teacher conferences, I was meeting with the parents of one of my struggling students when security radioed that someone was tampering with my car in the parking lot. I excused myself and found Lauren's brother Derek, a real estate agent I'd met exactly twice, crouched by my Subaru with some kind of electronic device. "Derek, what are you doing?" He jumped, nearly dropping what I now recognized as a bug detector or listening device. "Kevin, just, checking out your car. Lauren said you were thinking of upgrading, wanted me to assess the trade-in value. By planting listening devices in it?" Campus security was already approaching, reviewing the footage on their phones. "Sir, we're going to need you to come with us." Derek's face went pale. "This is a misunderstanding. I'm just helping family." Lauren said Kevin wanted. "Lauren and I broke up," I said flatly. "She's lying to you." The security footage was clear. Derek had been trying to attach a GPS tracker under my wheel well and had attempted to plant a recording device in my car's interior. Campus security called the police, and Derek was arrested for attempted wiretapping and trespassing. As they led him away, he was screaming into his phone. Lauren, you said this was legal. You said he wanted this." I went back to my parent conference, apologized for the interruption, and somehow made it through the rest of the evening. But when I got home, there were 7 messages from various members of Lauren's family, each more threatening than the last. Her aunt, who ran a marketing firm, promising to destroy my reputation. Her cousin, who worked in HR at the district office, claiming she'd make sure I never worked in education again. And finally, Lauren herself, crying and insisting that I'd forced her to take extreme measures because I refused to communicate like an adult. I blocked all their numbers, made myself dinner, and took Bailey for a long walk. The autumn air was crisp, the neighborhood quiet, and for the first time in days, I felt like I could breathe. My phone buzzed with an email notification. "Margaret, my principal. Kevin, we need to talk first thing tomorrow morning. Lauren Caldwell has submitted a formal complaint to the district office regarding your conduct. Please bring union representation." I stared at the email, then at Bailey, who was sniffing a fire hydrant without a care in the world. "Girl," I said, "I think this is just getting started." Wednesday morning, I sat in Margaret's office with the union rep, Linda, while Margaret pulled up Lauren's complaint on her computer. Her face grew more incredulous with each paragraph she read. "So, let me get this straight," Margaret said, adjusting her reading glasses. "Ms. Caldwell is claiming that you suffer from commitment disorder, refused mental health treatment, and that this represents a danger to students because you might model unhealthy relationship patterns? That's what it says?" I asked. Linda was already reading over Margaret's shoulder, and her expression told me everything I needed to know. "She attached the enhancement protocol as evidence," Linda said. "Apparently, your refusal to quit teaching and become a stockbroker demonstrates severe psychological instability and rejection of reality-based goal setting." Margaret scrolled through the document. She's also included testimonials from something called Dr. Cassandra Meadows, relationship architect, and, wait, is this from her mother the judge? Retired judge, I corrected, who's currently suing me for $15,750 in relationship investments. Margaret closed her laptop and looked at me directly. Kevin, I've been a principal for 22 years. I've seen angry parents, vengeful ex-spouses, even a teacher whose ex-boyfriend tried to get her fired by claiming she was indoctrinating students with feminist propaganda. But this is the most elaborate harassment campaign I've ever witnessed. So I'm not fired? Fired? Kevin, your students' test scores improved 23% last year. You run the most successful robotics program in the district. Half the teachers in this building wish they had your classroom management skills. She paused. But I am concerned about your safety. This woman seems unstable. That's when my phone started buzzing. Text messages from numbers I didn't recognize, all congratulating me on my engagement. I opened one to find a digital save-the-date card featuring photos of Lauren and me, or rather, a photoshopped version where my face looked slightly wrong, like she'd grabbed it from social media and pasted it onto someone else's body. Save the date for the wedding of Kevin Mitchell and Lauren Caldwell. It read, June 15th at the Sentinel Hotel. Formal attire required. Registry available at Nordstrom, Williams-Sonoma, Restoration Hardware, Tiffany & Company, and Crate and Barrel. She's telling people we're engaged, I said, showing Margaret and Linda the message. Linda grabbed my phone and started scrolling. She sent this to your entire contact list. How did she get your contacts? I don't know, but look at the registry. I pulled it up on my phone. $12,000 in kitchen equipment we'd supposedly selected together. A $4,500 bedroom set. China patterns. Crystal. Everything meticulously chosen and annotated with little notes like, Kevin has always dreamed of hosting elegant dinner parties. I've never dreamed of hosting elegant dinner parties, I said. I eat pizza over the sink. Margaret was already on her phone. I'm calling our district legal counsel. This has moved beyond a personal matter. She's using district resources to harass you. The next text that came through made my blood run cold. It was from my aunt in Boston, someone I talk to maybe twice a year. Kevin, honey, we got the save the date. We're so excited, but we can't make it to the engagement party this Saturday. Send our love. What engagement party? I asked. Linda grabbed my phone again and found the invitation. Lauren had rented out a private room at some upscale restaurant downtown, invited apparently everyone I'd ever met, and was expecting 75 guests for a celebration of our engagement that didn't exist. The invitation included a note that gifts were welcome but not required, and that my proposal at Multnomah Falls had been everything she'd ever dreamed of. I've never even been to Multnomah Falls, I said. By lunch, 3 more teachers had congratulated me on my engagement. My robotics club students had baked me a cake that said, "Congrats, Mr. M." And I had to explain to 15 confused teenagers that no, I was not getting married, yes, someone was pretending I was, and no, this wasn't a normal breakup situation. Mr. Mitchell, that's insane, said Jessica, one of my seniors. Like, literally insane. Is she okay? I don't think so, Jess. That afternoon, between 3rd and 4th period, my phone rang from a number with a Michigan area code. A woman's voice, unfamiliar, nervous. Is this Kevin Mitchell? Yes, who's this? My name is Michelle Carter. I went to college with Lauren Caldwell and I need to tell you something. I stepped into the hallway, away from students. I'm listening. I saw the engagement announcement. I recognized your name because Lauren and I are still Facebook friends, and she posts about you constantly. Michelle took a deep breath. Kevin, she did this before? Twice. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? Our junior year, she dated this guy Marcus for like 3 months. When he broke up with her, she told everyone they were engaged, sent out save the dates, the whole thing. His family showed up for an engagement party that didn't exist. It was a disaster. Then senior year, there was Brian. Same thing but worse. She filed a fake police report claiming he'd proposed and then stolen the ring. He had to hire a lawyer. Eventually fled to Vancouver to get away from her. Why didn't anyone stop her? We tried. But her mother's a judge, her family has money, and Lauren is very good at playing the victim. After Brian left, she switched schools for grad school and I lost track of her. But Kevin, she's dangerous. Brian ended up in therapy for years. Marcus had to change his name on social media. You need to protect yourself. How do I do that when she's already told my entire family we're engaged? Document everything. Every message, every lie, every harassment. Get a lawyer. And for the love of God, don't go anywhere alone. Brian said she used to follow him, show up at his apartment, his work. She escalates. Think. Michelle and hung up, my hands shaking. I was about to go back to class when my phone buzzed again. This time it was a dating app notification. Except I didn't have any dating apps. I opened it to find a profile with my photos, my job description, and a bio that made me sound like a reformed player seeking his soulmate for wealth building and legacy creation. The profile had been active for weeks, apparently, and had dozens of matches with messages from women responding to my requests to meet at my home address. Looking for a sophisticated woman who appreciates a man ready to settle down and build an empire, the bio read. Recently ended things with someone who couldn't handle my ambition. Ready to find my true partner in success. I was catfishing women. Or rather, Lauren was catfishing women using my identity. The messages were disturbing. Women showing up at my address for dates I supposedly arranged, getting angry when I wasn't home, some leaving gifts or notes. One woman had apparently waited for 3 hours last Tuesday, finally leaving a scathing review of me on some dating forum for ghosting after pursuing her so aggressively. I screenshotted everything and forwarded it to Linda, who responded within minutes. Legal counsel wants to meet tomorrow at 8 a.m. Bring everything. This is identity theft and possibly stalking. We're filing a police report. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept checking the dating profile, watching new messages come in from women Lauren had contacted using my photos and information. Some were angry about being stood up. Others were concerned, asking if I was okay, if something had happened. One message broke my heart. Kevin, I showed up at your address like you asked, but your neighbor said you're a teacher and would never arrange dates like this. I think someone is catfishing using your profile. You might want to check on this. I hope you're okay. I responded to her, explaining the situation, apologizing for the harassment she'd experienced. She was kind about it, said she'd filed reports with the dating apps, and wished me luck. She must have really loved you, the woman wrote. To do all this. I stared at that message for a long time. Because the thing was, I didn't think Lauren loved me at all. I think she loved the idea of me, the potential she saw to reshape me into whatever fantasy she'd created. And when I'd refused to be molded, when I'd walked away from her enhancement protocol, she couldn't handle that someone had dared to reject her vision. My dad called around 11 p.m. Son, I got a save the date card in the mail today. I knowed it. It's fake. All of it. Figured as much. Your mother would have had some choice words about this girl. We sat in silence for a moment. My mom had died when I was 8, but I still felt her absence in moments like this, wondered what she would have said about this insanity. Dad, Michelle, Lauren's old roommate, said she's done this before. To other guys. It doesn't end well. Then we make sure it ends better for you, he said firmly. Tomorrow, we're getting you a lawyer. A real one, not some family court judge sending ridiculous invoices. And Kevin? You're going to be okay. This girl is out of her mind, but you've got people who have your back. I wanted to believe him. But as I lay in bed, Bailey snoring at my feet, I couldn't shake the feeling that Lauren was just getting started, and that the worst was still to come. I woke up Thursday to 17 missed calls and a credit alert notification on my phone. My credit score had dropped 89 points overnight. I logged into my credit monitoring app with shaking hands and found 3 new credit cards I'd never opened. A Visa with a $10,000 limit, a MasterCard with $8,000, and an American Express with a $15,000 credit line. All of them were maxed out. Charges for something called Relationship Recovery Coaching with Dr. Cassandra Meadows, totaling $12,400. Couples intensive therapy sessions at $8,300 for sessions I'd never attended. Emotional wellness retreats for $2,500. The billing addresses were all Lauren's apartment. I immediately called the credit card companies, filed fraud reports, contacted the credit bureaus. The customer service representative at Visa sounded sympathetic but exhausted. Sir, I'm showing here that these charges were made with your full identification information, social security number, mother's maiden name, previous addresses, everything. Are you certain you didn't authorize anyone to open these accounts? I'm absolutely certain. My ex-girlfriend somehow got access to my personal information and is using it to commit fraud. We'll need to file a police report. In the meantime, the charges will be under investigation, but this could take 60 to 90 days to resolve. I hung up and called the lawyer my dad had found, a woman named Patricia Vasquez who specialized in harassment cases. She listened to everything, took notes, and her first words were, "Kevin, this is one of the most elaborate stalking cases I've seen in 15 years of practice. We need to move fast." That afternoon, I left school early to meet with Detective Sarah Rodriguez at the police station downtown. I brought everything: the enhancement protocol, the fake engagement announcements, screenshots of the dating profiles, credit card statements, recorded voicemails from Dr. Meadows, the works. "Mr. Mitchell," Detective Rodriguez said, spreading the documents across her desk, "I'm going to be honest with you. Cases like this are difficult to prosecute because technically, you did have a relationship with this woman. Defense attorneys love to claim it's just a bad breakup, not criminal behavior. But she's committing identity theft, financial fraud. She's impersonating me on dating sites. I know and will investigate all of it. But I need you to understand that this might get worse before it gets better. People like Ms. Caldwell don't stop when caught. They escalate." She was right. Friday afternoon, I got a call from my neighbor, Mrs. Chin, a retired librarian who lived in the apartment below mine. "Kevin, dear, there was a woman at your apartment today. She had a key and was taking things out. I asked if I should call the police, but she said she was your fiancé and you'd sent her to pick up some items for the engagement party." My blood ran cold. "What did she take?" "She had your dog, dear. Said Bailey needed to stay with her until after the party because you were too stressed to care for her properly." "I'm so sorry, I thought it was legitimate. I didn't hear the rest." I hung up and ran to my car. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get the key in the ignition. Lauren had stolen Bailey. I called every animal shelter within 50 miles. Finally, on my 8th call, a shelter in Clackamas County, 90 miles away, confirmed they had a golden retriever matching Bailey's description, surrendered by a woman claiming to be the owner. She said the dog belonged to her and that her abusive ex-boyfriend had been keeping her illegally, the shelter worker said. She had a story about domestic violence, said she was afraid but needed to rescue her dog. "We're required to hold the animal for 5 days before." "I'm the owner," I said, my voice breaking. "I have adoption papers, vet records, everything." "She's lying. Please don't let anyone adopt her." "I'm coming right now." The drive to Clackamas County took 90 minutes in rush hour traffic. I brought every document I had: Bailey's adoption papers from the rescue, vet records with my name, photos of us together, even my neighbor Mrs. Chin on speakerphone willing to verify that Bailey lived with me. The shelter manager, a kind-faced woman named Diane, looked over everything and sighed. "Mr. Mitchell, I believe you." But the woman who brought her in was very convincing. She cried, showed us photos, obviously ones she'd taken while dating you, and filed paperwork claiming ownership. "Can I at least see her? Make sure she's okay?" Diane hesitated, then nodded. "Follow me." Bailey was in a kennel in the back, curled up in the corner looking miserable. The moment she saw me, she started barking and jumping at the cage door. I knelt down and she pressed her nose through the bars, whining. "It's okay, girl. I'm getting you out." It took another hour of paperwork, phone calls to my vet confirming ownership, and finally Diane making an executive decision that yes, I was clearly the actual owner and could take Bailey home. As I was loading her into the car, my phone rang. A known number. "Kevin Mitchell?" a gruff male voice asked. "Yes. This is Bill Caldwell, Lauren's father. We need to talk about the stolen property you're harboring." "Excuse me?" "My daughter informed me that you're in possession of family heirlooms, jewelry and antiques that belong to the Caldwell family. She has photos of these items in your apartment, and we're prepared to file theft charges unless they're returned immediately." I actually laughed. "Mr. Caldwell, I don't have any of Lauren's property. I returned everything she left at my apartment." "That's not what she says. She has documentation, photographs, appraisals. Whatever she has is fabricated. I suggest you speak with her therapist, because your daughter is having a psychological break." "Don't you dare," he continued yelling, but I hung up. "Called Patricia Vasquez immediately. They're going to claim I stole things I never had," I told her. "Lauren's father just called threatening theft charges." "Let them try," Patricia said calmly. "But Kevin, I need you to document everything in your apartment. Take photos, videos, inventory everything. If they do file a police report, we need proof that you don't have whatever they claim is missing." I spent Friday night photographing every inch of my apartment, creating a time-stamped video record of everything I owned. Bailey stayed close to me the whole time, like she was afraid I'd disappear if she looked away. Saturday morning, I was making breakfast when someone pounded on my door. Through the peephole, I saw 3 police officers. My stomach dropped. "Kevin Mitchell?" the lead officer asked when I opened the door. "We have a warrant to search your premises for stolen property." They handed me the warrant. Lauren's father had filed a report claiming I'd stolen $47,000 worth of family heirlooms. His grandmother's engagement ring, a Tiffany necklace, various pieces of jewelry and antiques that Lauren had supposedly left at my apartment and that I was refusing to return. "Officers, I don't have any of those things. This is a false report. My ex-girlfriend is harassing me." "Sir, we still need to execute the warrant." I called Patricia, put her on speakerphone, and let the officers search. They went through everything: my closet, drawers, under the bed, even checked if the floorboards were loose. After an hour, the lead officer looked frustrated. "Mr. Mitchell, there's nothing here matching the description of the stolen items. Because they don't exist. Or if they do, Lauren has them. She's fabricating this entire thing." The officer made notes, took photos of my apartment's empty state, and finally handed me a card. "You might want to file a counter-report for filing a false police report. This has been a waste of everyone's time." After they left, I sat on my couch, Bailey's head in my lap, and tried to process what was happening. Lauren had stolen my dog, filed false police reports, committed identity fraud, and somehow convinced her entire family to participate in this campaign of harassment. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number with a photo attached. It was me, apparently, at my school, except the photo had been photoshopped to make it look like I was doing something inappropriate with a student. The text read, "Withdraw the fraud claims or this goes to the school board, the media, and every parent in your district. You have 24 hours. I stared at the doctored photo, my hands shaking with rage. She was threatening to destroy my career with fabricated evidence of misconduct. This wasn't just harassment anymore. This was war. And I was done playing defense. Monday morning, I walked into the weekly district-wide curriculum meeting and found Lauren sitting 3 rows back, wearing a visitor badge and a professional smile. My principal Margaret saw my face and immediately approached. "Kevin, I need to talk to you before. Why is she here?" I asked, not taking my eyes off Lauren. She applied for a substitute teaching position at Riverside High. Technically, she's qualified, and until we have a restraining order, we can't legally bar her from district events. Margaret lowered her voice. "But I've already called security. The moment she steps out of line, she's gone." I sat down, and for the next 90 minutes, Lauren participated in the meeting like she belonged there. Raised her hand to comment on curriculum standards. Pulled out binders, always with the binders, filled with research on educational best practices. And every single comment was a subtle dig at me. Some educators resist innovation because they're too comfortable in their mediocrity, she said during a discussion about new teaching methods, looking directly at me. I've seen teachers who refuse to evolve, who settle for adequate when they could be extraordinary. It's tragic, really, how some people choose limitation over growth. My colleague Tom, who taught physics and had heard about my situation, raised his hand. "I'm sorry, but who are you exactly? I don't recognize you from any of our schools." "Lauren Caldwell," she said smoothly. "I'm a substitute teacher and educational consultant. I've been studying district performance metrics, and I have some concerns about certain instructors who might benefit from intensive professional development. She pulled out another binder and I recognized my name on the tab. She was about to present a PowerPoint about me when Margaret stood up. "Ms. Caldwell, this meeting is for discussing curriculum, not personnel matters. If you have concerns about specific teachers, there are proper channels." "Of course," Lauren said sweetly. "I'm just passionate about educational excellence. After all, our students deserve teachers who are committed to growth, not stagnation." The moment the meeting ended, Margaret escorted Lauren out personally. But the damage was done. 3 teachers approached me asking what that was about, and I had to explain, again, that my ex-girlfriend was stalking me. That afternoon, I got a call from a reporter at the Portland Tribune. "Mr. Mitchell, I'm working on a story about toxic masculinity in education, and I have an anonymous source who's provided detailed information about a pattern of emotional abuse and manipulation in our school system. They mentioned you specifically as an example of how male teachers can create hostile environments for women. Would you like to comment?" My blood ran cold. "Who's your source?" "I can't reveal that, but they've provided extensive documentation, including testimony from colleagues and students." "This is libel," I said. "My ex-girlfriend is harassing me, and she's apparently feeding you false information to destroy my reputation." There was a pause. "Your ex-girlfriend? Can you elaborate on that?" I explained the entire situation, the enhancement protocol, the stalking, the fake engagement, everything. The reporter, a woman named Jennifer Hassan, was quiet for a long moment. "Mr. Mitchell, can you send me documentation of these claims?" I sent her everything. The police reports, the credit fraud evidence, the fake dating profiles, screenshots of Lauren's harassment. An hour later, Jennifer called back. "Mr. Mitchell, I owe you an apology. My anonymous source is named Lauren Caldwell, and after cross-referencing the details you provided, it's clear she's been fabricating this story. I'm killing the peace and potentially writing about this harassment campaign instead." "Would that help or make things worse?" I asked. "I don't know anymore. Let me look into it more. But Kevin, you should know, she didn't just contact me. She's reached out to at least 3 other media outlets with similar stories. I'm going to warn them." That night, I discovered Lauren had created a website called teacherswhoharm.com, featuring anonymous stories about abusive educators. The main story, though anonymous, was clearly about me, complete with details only she would know about our relationship, twisted to make me sound like a manipulative predator. The site had already gotten traction on social media, with people sharing it and commenting about how schools need to do better protecting students from teachers like Kevin M. I was about to spiral into panic when my phone started buzzing with notifications. My students had found the website, and they were fighting back. Jessica, one of my robotics club seniors, had created a TikTok that was already going viral. "Y'all, this is about Mr. Mitchell, my teacher," she said in the video, "and it's complete BS. Let me tell you about the real Mr. Mitchell." She proceeded to detail how I'd helped her prepare for engineering scholarships, how I'd spent my own money on robotics equipment when the school budget was cut, how I'd written recommendation letters for dozens of students at midnight because I cared about their futures. The video ended with her saying, "Someone is trying to destroy a good teacher because he wouldn't be their sugar daddy. And we're not letting that happen. Team Teacher K, let's go." Within hours, #TeamTeacherK was trending locally. Students current and former were posting stories about how I'd impacted their lives. Parents were writing testimonials. Other teachers were sharing their own experiences with my professionalism and dedication. The website's comment section was flooded with people calling out the obvious lies. Then the internet detectives arrived. A TikTok user with the handle at truthseeker_pdx traced the website's IP address back to Lauren's apartment. Found her various social media accounts where she'd posted about me, about her enhancement protocol, about her vision for our future. Someone discovered the fake dating profiles. Another person found the fake engagement registry. It was like watching dominoes fall. Every lie Lauren had constructed was being systematically exposed by strangers on the internet who were better at research than I'd ever be. The most damning discovery came from a Reddit user who found Dr. Cassandra Meadows, the relationship architect, was actually Lauren's former roommate from college who dropped out of a psychology PhD program and was not licensed to practice therapy in any state. The whole intervention at my dad's poker game had been staged by Lauren and her friend. By Tuesday morning, the story had been picked up by local news, not as toxic teacher exposed, but as teacher targeted by elaborate stalking campaign. My phone was ringing off the hook with interview requests, but Patricia advised me to stay quiet and let the evidence speak for itself. The most unexpected support came from a GoFundMe that Jessica had started to help with my legal fees. Mr. Mitchell has spent his own money on students for years, the description read. Now he needs help fighting someone who's trying to destroy his life. Let's show him that good teachers don't fight alone. The goal was $5,000. It hit $15,000 in 3 days. And then Lauren's mother donated $500 with the comment, "I'm so sorry for my daughter's behavior. Please use this toward your legal defense. You deserve better." I stared at that donation for a long time. Patricia Caldwell, the retired judge who'd sent me that ridiculous invoice, had just publicly acknowledged that her daughter was wrong. The cracks in Lauren's support system were starting to show. That night, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line read, "I'm sorry." I opened it to find a message from Lauren's father. "Mr. Mitchell, I need to apologize for my part in this situation. My daughter showed me doctored evidence, fabricated documents, and convinced me you were dangerous. I filed those police reports believing I was protecting her. I've since learned the truth about her mental state and the extent of her deception. I've withdrawn the theft charges and will be cooperating with the police investigation into her criminal behavior. I'm also writing to express my deepest shame that I raised someone capable of this cruelty. My wife and I are getting her the help she needs, whether she wants it or not. You didn't deserve any of this." I read the email 3 times, then forwarded it to Patricia and Detective Rodriguez. The Caldwell family fortress was crumbling. Lauren was running out of allies. But I knew from experience that cornered animals were the most dangerous. And Lauren still had one more card to play. The restraining order hearing was scheduled for Thursday at 2 p.m. Patricia had prepared me for what to expect. Lauren would likely show up with her own attorney, possibly her mother, and would paint herself as the victim in all of this. What I wasn't prepared for was the production Lauren had orchestrated. I arrived at the courthouse with Patricia to find Lauren already there, surrounded by 3 massive binders, a wheeled cart carrying what looked like a projector and screen, and 2 people I didn't recognize sitting in the gallery behind her. She was wearing a conservative navy suit that made her look like she was interviewing for a Supreme Court clerkship, hair pulled back severely, minimal makeup designed to make her appear vulnerable and exhausted. "Mr. Mitchell," her attorney said, introducing himself as Charles Worthington III, Esquire. Everything about him screamed expensive: the Rolex, the custom suit, the Harvard law ring. "My client is prepared to drop all charges if you're willing to enter couples counseling and work through this regrettable misunderstanding." Regrettable misunderstanding? Patricia repeated. "Your client has committed identity theft, fraud, stalking, and harassment. This isn't a couples dispute, it's a crime spree." The bailiff called us into the courtroom. The judge was a woman in her 50s named Judge Reyes, and I recognized her immediately from a school assembly where she'd spoken to students about civic engagement. She'd been a teacher before going to law school. Lauren didn't recognize her. That would prove to be a critical mistake. "Your Honor," Charles began, "my client Lauren Caldwell is here today because her former partner, Mr. Mitchell, has unfortunately suffered a mental health crisis that has led him to make false accusations against a woman whose only crime was loving him too much." Patricia stood. "Your Honor, we have extensive documentation of Ms. Caldwell's systematic harassment campaign against my client, including—" "If I may, Your Honor," Charles interrupted, signaling to Lauren, who began setting up her projector. "Ms. Caldwell has prepared a comprehensive presentation that will demonstrate the truth of this situation." Judge Reyes looked skeptical. "Counselor, this is a restraining order hearing, not a TED Talk. What exactly does your client need a projector for?" To properly illustrate the pattern of emotional abuse and manipulation that Mr. Mitchell subjected her to, Your Honor, we have created a detailed timeline with supporting evidence. The judge sighed. Make it quick. Lauren pulled up her first slide, the Kevin Mitchell pattern, a case study in narcissistic abandonment. I watched her present 47 slides detailing our relationship, each one more delusional than the last. According to her presentation, I had pursued her relentlessly, convinced her to invest financially and emotionally in our future, then abandoned her without warning when she'd asked for reasonable commitment. Slide 23 shows the enhancement protocol, which Mr. Mitchell is characterizing as unreasonable demands, Lauren said, her voice steady and professional. In reality, these were collaborative goals we discussed extensively. Mr. Mitchell agreed to pursue a more lucrative career path to support the family we planned to build. He agreed that his father's influence was becoming problematic. He agreed to everything, then reneged the moment I asked for a timeline. That's a complete lie, I whispered to Patricia. Judge Reyes was reading through the actual enhancement protocol, her expression growing increasingly incredulous. Ms. Caldwell, you're claiming Mr. Mitchell agreed to get rid of his dog due to allergies you developed? Yes, Your Honor. Severe allergies that have required medical intervention. And yet, Patricia interjected, we have documentation showing Ms. Caldwell spent extensive time with the dog throughout the relationship with no medical treatment for allergies. We also have evidence that she subsequently kidnapped the dog and attempted to have it surrendered to a kill shelter. Charles stood quickly. Your Honor, that's a mischaracterization. I'd like to hear this, Judge Reyes said, her tone sharp. Patricia presented evidence of Bailey's kidnapping, the shelter records, Lauren's false claims of ownership. Then the credit card fraud. The fake engagement announcements. The doctored photos. The harassment at my workplace. With each piece of evidence, I watched Charles's confidence crumble. He clearly hadn't known the extent of what his client had done. When Patricia showed the fake dating profiles and the website Lauren had created, one of the people sitting behind Lauren, the supposed character witnesses, stood up and walked out. The other followed 30 seconds later. Ms. Caldwell, Judge Reyes said, are those your character witnesses leaving? Lauren's composure finally cracked. They need to, it's not what it looks like. And what does it look like, Ms. Caldwell? The judge's voice was ice. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've orchestrated an elaborate harassment campaign against a man whose only crime was ending a relationship with you. You don't understand. Lauren's voice rose. I invested everything in him. I had a plan, a future, a vision for what we could become together. He was supposed to be your what? Judge Reyes asked. Your project. Lauren opened her mouth, closed it. He was settling for mediocrity. I was trying to help him reach his potential. Someone with his education, his intelligence, working as a teacher making barely $50,000 a year? It's wasteful. I showed him a better path. A better path that required him to abandon his career, his pet, and his father? His father is a mechanic. Lauren practically shouted. Blue collar, limited worldview, no ambition. I was trying to free Kevin from that toxic influence. Judge Reyes leaned forward. Ms. Caldwell, I was a teacher for 12 years before I went to law school. My father was a plumber. Are you suggesting that teachers and tradespeople are somehow lesser humans? The courtroom went dead silent. Charles looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. Patricia was trying not to smile. No, that's not, I just meant that Kevin could be so much more than what? Than someone who educates children? Than someone who chooses meaningful work over maximum salary. Judge Reyes's voice was sharp enough to cut glass. Ms. Caldwell, your testimony has made it abundantly clear that you view Mr. Mitchell not as a partner but as a resource to be optimized for your benefit. That's not true. I love him. I was just you were trying to control him, the judge interrupted. And when he refused to be controlled, you launched a campaign of harassment that included identity theft, fraud, stalking, and defamation. Do you understand the severity of what you've done? Lauren started crying. Real tears this time, not the manipulative ones I'd seen during our relationship. I just wanted him to see his potential. I wanted us to have the life we deserved. The life you decided you deserved, Judge Reyes corrected. Mr. Mitchell, do you wish to address the court? I stood, my legs shaky. Your Honor, I just want this to stop. I want to go back to my classroom, my dog, my life. I never asked for any of this. I just wanted to be with someone who loved me for who I am, not who they thought I could become. Judge Reyes nodded. The court grants a 5-year restraining order. Ms. Caldwell is to have no contact with Mr. Mitchell, direct or indirect. She is not to approach his workplace, his home, or any location where he regularly frequents. Violation will result in immediate arrest. She paused. Additionally, I'm referring this case to the district attorney for criminal prosecution of the fraud and identity theft charges. Ms. Caldwell, you need serious help, and I hope you get it before you destroy anyone else's life. Charles was already gathering his papers, clearly wanting to escape as quickly as possible. But before we could leave, the courtroom door opened and Patricia Caldwell walked in, Lauren's mother, the retired judge. Your Honor, she said, may I approach? Judge Reyes looked surprised but nodded. Patricia Caldwell walked to the front, standing between where Lauren and I sat on opposite sides of the aisle. Your Honor, I need to apologize to this court and to Mr. Mitchell. I enabled my daughter's behavior. I helped her, funded her harassment campaign, because I believed her lies about being wronged. But I've recently discovered that this isn't the first time Lauren has done this. She pulled out a folder. 2 previous relationships ended exactly like this one. Stalking, harassment, false accusations. I helped cover it up. I used my position as a judge to intimidate Lauren's previous victims into silence. I thought I was protecting my daughter, but I was actually enabling her mental illness and allowing her to hurt innocent people. Lauren stood up, furious. Mother, what are you doing? What I should have done years ago, Patricia Caldwell said. Getting you real help and taking responsibility for my part in this. She turned to me. Mr. Mitchell, I am profoundly sorry for what my family has put you through. I'm filing for divorce from my husband, who has been complicit in covering up Lauren's behavior for years. I'm also resigning from every board and organization I'm part of because I don't deserve those positions after what I've done. She pulled out a checkbook. This won't fix anything, but I'm writing you a check for $50,000 to cover your legal fees and any other damages. It's the least I can do. I don't want your money, I said quietly. I just want my life back. I know, she said, tears streaming down her face. But please take it anyway. Use it for your students, your robotics program, whatever you want. Just know that not all of the Caldwell family is irredeemable. Judge Reyes watched this exchange with an expression I couldn't read. Finally, she spoke. Ms. Caldwell, the elder Ms. Caldwell, your admission is noted. I suggest you speak with the district attorney as well. Patricia Caldwell nodded and walked out. Lauren was sobbing, her carefully constructed presentation forgotten, her composure completely shattered. Charles put a hand on her shoulder. Ms. Caldwell, I strongly suggest you seek immediate psychiatric help. The court has been merciful, but the criminal charges, get away from me. She pushed him back. You're all against me. All of you. Kevin, please, if you just... No contact, Ms. Caldwell, Judge Reyes warned. Not another word to Mr. Mitchell or you'll be held in contempt. I walked out of the courthouse with Patricia the lawyer, leaving Lauren crying in the courtroom with an attorney who was clearly regretting taking her case. Outside, the Portland sun was shining, and I felt like I could breathe for the first time in weeks. 3 weeks later, I was in the middle of teaching my 3rd period robotics class when the school secretary called my classroom. Mr. Mitchell, there's a parent here for the conference you scheduled. Should I send her to your room? I hadn't scheduled any conferences. What's the parent's name? There was a pause. She says her name is Jennifer Morrison. She's here about her son Tyler's performance in your advanced placement class. I didn't have a student named Tyler Morrison in any of my classes. Call security, I said quietly. Right now. I kept teaching, watching the door. 5 minutes later, I saw Lauren being escorted out of the building in handcuffs. She was screaming, struggling against the security guards, clutching another binder, This one labeled Enhancement Protocol 2.0. Kevin, please. I just need 5 minutes. I've fixed everything. I know what I did wrong. The students watched in stunned silence as she was taken away. Jessica raised her hand. Mr. Mitchell, was that her? Yeah, I said. That was her. She's really crazy, another student muttered. Okay, back to programming, I said, trying to steady my voice. Let's focus on debugging your code. Later, I learned that Lauren had violated the restraining order by creating an elaborate fake parent identity, complete with forged documents and a backstory about a non-existent child. She'd somehow gotten past the front office by claiming to be a concerned mother of a student who was struggling. Security had recognized her from the photos we'd distributed and called the police immediately. She was arrested and taken to jail. This time, there would be consequences. Detective Rodriguez called me that afternoon. Mr. Mitchell, Ms. Caldwell has been charged with stalking, violation of a restraining order, identity theft, and fraud. The district attorney is taking this seriously. She's being held pending psychiatric evaluation. Is she going to prison? I asked. Probably not immediately. The judge ordered a mandatory mental health evaluation. If she's found competent to stand trial, she'll likely face probation with intensive therapy as a condition. But Kevin, this is finally over. She can't hurt you anymore. I wanted to feel relieved, but mostly I just felt exhausted. That weekend, something unexpected happened. A woman showed up at my apartment, not Lauren, but one of the women from the fake dating profiles. Her name was Andrea, and she looked nervous standing in my doorway holding a casserole dish. I know this is weird, she said, but I'm one of the women who got catfished using your profile. I saw the news about what happened and I wanted to make sure you were okay. I invited her in and we talked for 3 hours. Andrea was a veterinary surgeon, funny and kind, with this dry sense of humor that made even the horror story of the past months seem almost absurd. She told me about showing up at my address for a date that didn't exist, about how my neighbor Mrs. Chin had explained the situation, about how she'd actually been relieved because Kevin's messages had seemed too good to be true. No one's that perfect, she said, laughing. The messages were like, I'm emotionally available, financially stable, ready for commitment, and I rescue dogs. It was like someone created an AI boyfriend. Well, I do actually rescue dogs, I said, as Bailey pushed her head into Andrea's lap. And you're emotionally available? She asked, scratching Bailey's ears. After all this? I think so, I said. Just maybe cautious about anyone who wants to enhance me. She smiled. I'm a surgeon. I only enhance dogs by removing their tumors. Does that count? We started dating slowly. Coffee dates, walks with Bailey, normal conversations where neither of us had a secret agenda or enhancement protocol. She thought my job as a teacher was admirable, not something that needed fixing. She got along with my dad, who joked that at least this one knew how to use a wrench after she fixed my leaky faucet one evening. 6 months later, I was promoted to department chair, a position that came with a modest raise and the opportunity to mentor new teachers. The school board specifically cited my grace under pressure and dedication to students during unprecedented personal challenges. The robotics program got a $25,000 grant after our viral #TeamTeacherK campaign caught the attention of a tech company that wanted to support STEM education. I used part of the GoFundMe money to buy new equipment and donated the rest to a domestic violence shelter that helped people escape situations like mine. Lauren completed her psychiatric evaluation and was diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder and obsessive-compulsive tendencies. She was mandated to undergo intensive therapy as a condition of her probation, prohibited from using social media for 2 years, and required to perform 500 hours of community service. I heard through the grapevine that she'd moved to Seattle to start over, which was fine by me. The farther away, the better. Her mother kept her word about the $50,000 check. I donated half to my school scholarship fund for students pursuing careers in education or skilled trades. The other half went to a legal defense fund for people experiencing harassment from former partners. Patricia Caldwell also followed through on her divorce and wrote an op-ed in the Portland Tribune about how parents can enable their children's worst behaviors. The article went viral, and apparently she's now doing speaking engagements about accountability and mental health. 1 year after the French bistro dinner that changed everything, I was grading papers when my phone buzzed. It was a group text from my dad's poker buddies. They'd started including me in their Thursday night games, which had become a standing tradition. Sal had sent a photo of a gift basket sitting on the poker table. It was from the Caldwell family, Patricia and her ex-husband Bill, who were apparently both in therapy and trying to make amends. The basket contained expensive wine, gourmet snacks, and a card that read, "We are sorry for what our daughter put you through. We hope you're finding peace. You deserved better." The Caldwells, the embarrassed ones, it had become a running joke among my dad and his friends. They called it the annual apology basket and made bets on what would be in it each year. $20 says next year it's got those fancy crackers, my dad texted. "I'm betting on imported cheese," Sal added. "You guys are terrible," I wrote back, laughing. Andrea was curled up next to me on the couch, reading a veterinary journal while I graded. Bailey was asleep between us. My apartment was quiet, peaceful, and entirely free of enhancement protocols or improvement timelines. "What's funny?" Andrea asked, looking up. "Just my dad's poker group making jokes about my ex-girlfriend's family sending apology baskets." She shook her head, smiling. "Your life was a Lifetime movie for like 6 months, you know that?" "Yeah, but it had a happy ending." "Did it?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "Are you happy?" I looked around my apartment. The one I'd refused to upgrade, the one with the leaky faucet Andrea had fixed, the one with Bailey's dog toys scattered on the floor. I thought about my job teaching kids who might not have anyone else believing in them. My dad and his poker buddies who showed up when I needed them. My students who'd created a viral campaign to defend me. And Andrea, who tracked me down after being catfished just to make sure I was okay, and stayed because she actually liked who I was. "Yeah," I said. "I'm happy." 2 months later, I did something I never thought I'd do again after Lauren. I went ring shopping. Not because anyone handed me a timeline or improvement protocol. Not because someone had a 5-year plan that required my participation. But because I'd found someone who thought my ordinary life was extraordinary enough. The jeweler showed me the princess-cut diamonds, and I shook my head. "Something different," I said. "Something that's not typical." We settled on a sapphire, blue as the Pacific, set in white gold. Unique, unpredictable, perfect. I proposed on a random Tuesday, in my classroom after school, surrounded by robotics equipment and half-finished student projects. No scenic overlook, no hired photographer, no social media strategy. "This is so unromantic," Andrea laughed, looking at the ring. "There's literally a half-built robot watching us." "Is that a no?" "It's a yes," she said, kissing me. "It's absolutely a yes. But can we make our wedding registry practical stuff? Like, tools and kitchen equipment we'll actually use. No $2,800 handbags?" She made a face. "God, no. Maybe a really good drill though. Your bathroom door squeaks." I started laughing and couldn't stop. This was it, the relationship I'd always wanted. Someone who fixed squeaky doors instead of trying to fix me. We got married 6 months later in my dad's backyard, with Bailey as the ring bearer and my robotics students as ushers. Small, simple, perfect. No enhancement protocols required. The day before the wedding, I got one final message from an unknown number. "I heard you're getting married. I hope you know you're making a mistake. We could have had everything. You chose ordinary when you could have been extraordinary. You'll regret this." I showed it to Detective Rodriguez, who confirmed it was from Lauren, violating her probation. "She'll face additional charges," the detective said. "Want to press them?" I thought about it for a long moment, then shook my head. "No. I just want to move forward. She can't hurt me anymore." And she couldn't. Because I'd learned something important through all of this. The right person doesn't need to enhance you, improve you, or fix you. They just need to love you exactly as you are. Rescue dog, mediocre salary, squeaky doors and all. 3 years later, Andrea and I adopted a second dog, another rescue named Charlie, who Bailey immediately adopted as her personal project. We bought a modest house with a yard, had a kid on the way, and my life was still ordinary by Lauren's standards. Still a teacher, still making the same salary, still hanging out with my blue-collar dad and his poker buddies. Still perfectly, wonderfully, extraordinarily ordinary. And I wouldn't change a single thing.